Seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. It takes me back to a passage in Carlos Castaneda where it talks about when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I really feel that those people that do seek with a pure heart and seek the Lord truthfully, the Lord will provide the answers and provide the teachers to lead those individuals to real truth and the truth that underlies all of the things that we're talking about. And as far as what you were talking about, a lot of us will blame God for either the evil that we see in the world or just because of the chaos that we see. And I think that's one of the real important reasons for people to read the book of Enoch, is to understand that evil was not brought into the world as a natural occurrence by the Lord. It was brought in by the rebellion of these fallen angels. And these fallen angels brought all different kinds of knowledge of like warfare and even abortion, and all these things are covered in the book of Enoch. And if you don't understand that it was the fallen angels as these alien beings, these reptilian beings that came in so long ago, then you may think that God is responsible for creating evil. And he did not. He created the creation in perfection and in harmony, and it was the rebellion of the 1/3 of the watchers that fell and all those that follow Satan and the 7,000 years that they've been granted dominion over this earth, that we're going to learn through duality both the knowledge of good and evil. And you're right, the Lord wants us to choose Him of our own free will, to want to love Him and to want to take part in the salvation that He generously extends to all of us. Now, as far as one other aspect of the book of Enoch, and the book of Enoch also verified for me the fact that Cain was a child of the devil. Because if you read, there's a parable in the book of Enoch that talks about the goats and the sheep. Well, the goats, if you read it, the goats are the Canaanite bloodline. And it talks about the sheep as being those that are of the Sethite, the Adamic bloodline. And if you don't understand that, then if you don't understand the Canaanite and the two bloodline theory, you won't understand that parable in the book of Enoch. Another couple other things that verified this research for me, not only in the New Testament where the Lord Jesus also says that you are of your father the devil, you are a generation of vipers, but also the Nag Hammadi codices and the Colburn Bible. Also, these two recently released collections of knowledge and research also verify that accounting. There are several occurrences and instances in the Nag Hammadi codices, one specifically that I remember in the book of Philip, where Jesus himself says that Cain is a child of the devil. And also in the Colburn Bible, it talks about the story of Ma'eva and Dadam, and it talks about how they drank of this concoction, this moon elixir that put them to sleep and allowed them to be raped while they were asleep. And at that time, Eve, Ma'eva is what they call her in the Colburn Bible, she became pregnant with an impure seed. And because she became pregnant with the impure seed, they were then kicked out of paradise and placed in the wilderness and the earth. Now, this is where Genesis comes in, because if you read Genesis, the first part of Genesis, the whole reason that the Lord told Adam that he was going to have to till the garden and work the soil was that he knew that Eve had slept with Satan and was already pregnant with Cain. And that's why he turned to Eve and said, now you're going to give childbirth and you're going to have to go through the sorrows of childbirth. And then at that point he turned to Satan and he said, I will put enmity between her seed and thy seed. And that was when the war between the bloodlines began.
Well, you bring that point up back again in Genesis, and it is important for people to realize, too, that that is spoken of in Genesis in terms of the sexual relationship back in the Garden of Eden. It is there. It is there. And Richard Stout, through keyword analysis, has really, anyone could really do this. And if you go into the expository dictionary, specifically Vine's, is that correct, Byron?
Yeah.
The Vine's expository dictionaries, you go back into the Hebrew and you realize, you take those certain keywords and you start to understand what it really is saying in terms of the trees, who the trees really were,
right.
In terms of the fruit, what the fruit meant, taking the bite and why both of them ate from it. It all comes together when you do your research, but it has to be done. Otherwise, you get confused and you come up with your own theories and interpretations of what Scripture is really saying. There never was an apple ever mentioned in the book of Genesis. Right.
And like also too, if you a lot of people go back to King James Version, Genesis chapter 4:1, where it talks about how Adam knew his wife and then she fathered Eve. But if you go back further to the Aramaic Targums or the Palestinian Targums, which were the interpretations of those books during the time of Christ and written in Syriac, those particular chapters talk about Genesis 4:1 in the Aramaic Targums talks about how Eve slept with the angel of death, Samuel, the angel of death, which is symbolic of Lucifer, and how Cain was a child of Satan's. And so if you go back to the original, the Aramaic Targums of Genesis chapter 4:1, then it also verifies the same thing, that Cain was a child of the devil.
Right. Well, we're once again, just for the listeners, we are listening to Zen Garcia from EndeavorFreedom.tv and also FallenAngels.tv. Zen, how did you come about starting the FallenAngels.tv website? I know that's a community networking page, and just go touching a little bit on your website, both of them, EndeavorFreedom.tv and FallenAngels.tv.
Sure. Well, I do many different things. I run organizations. Well, the Endeavor Freedom TV works specifically on disability issues because I'm a quadriplegic and I'm also an advocate for other people with disabilities. But the FallenAngels.tv website, I started that because I started to run across communities of people that were interested in this knowledge, that wanted to discuss these issues with other believers, but there just simply was not a platform available for them to congregate and come together in a collective. And so I established FallenAngels.tv to be that platform. And the first interview that I did for that particular website was with Dr. Joy. And so that really, that interview and that series of interviews with her is what launched that website. In fact, Dr. Joy was the first member to sign up at the FallenAngels.tv website. And for those people that have not been to that website, it's basically like a MySpace. It's a network for Christians that have come to understand these certain aspects, these esoteric aspects of the knowledge and of truth. And for those people that do understand that Cain was a child of the devil and that the alien agenda, the great deception that is coming with the Vatican trying to make us all believe that the aliens are going to be our benefactors or our saviors or the creators of mankind, this great deception that is being established and set up, we created this space as a place of warning, as a place for other watchmen to come and share their knowledge and to have dialogue so that those people that are out there that have other aspects of this truth, which we may not even have, we can all share and help one another to understand exactly what is coming upon us in these next few years and how late the hour really is.
Zen, I know we're getting late in the hour, but I just wanted you to touch a little bit on, perhaps on that website. Do you have any information on the Sumerians and maybe even Zechariah Sitchin and his take on what's going on there, and your take on that too? Any opinions?